Hello again, friends and fans. Raptor here. Good to have you back on What the Deck for Infantry now. In the previous edition, I showed you kind of how to make a deck, and there have, of course, been more to this series in explaining exactly what each category does and what the specialty of each vehicle is, specifically more for the Americans. And now we're going to get into some more specifics of making a deck for Wargame Red Dragon. So again, if you enjoy this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend and help support the Rat Pack and spread around the knowledge. And of course, I can't cover everything in this one video as well, so for you pros, leave your tips down below. So we have the What the Deck Infantry name for the deck name, the faction we're choosing blue for, nation or national coalition deck, we're going to go ahead and choose the USA. And this means now that by choosing strictly the USA, prototype units are unlocked. We have 10% increase of availability for units of the type of logistics, recon, plane, tank, helo support vehicles, but we're restrained to the selected nationality. So we're going to choose a infantry deck, which in this case we have a couple of options for this. The Americans have a few options that make them extremely powerful, and in this case we're going to choose the Marines. Now this gives you an +1 XP for plane and infantry, 2 additional slots for plane and infantry, and 3 additional slots for naval units. That also includes ships and or landing craft as well. And era down here we're just going to ignore and leave it at all. Before we go into this though, I will show you what the other deck types exactly do. Motorized gives you an increase somewhat of the same for recon and vehicle, and additional slots for infantry as well. The armored, of course, gives you extra tanks. You have an increase of XP on that, and 4 additional slots for the tanks. Under support, you have additional units for support, 4 slots, that is, for support and logistics, which is very important too. A support deck could help. You could actually, if you were working with a team, you could tell them, hey, logistics, I've got it covered, and they can focus more on some of the heavier units, and you can focus on supporting them from the rear with AA and supply. We'll move on then to mechanized, which is somewhat of the same as motorized with more of a focus on infantry. All units cost vehicles, and infantry costs 1 less activation point, and airborne you have 1 XP for the units of infantry and helo, and 2 slots available for helo and plane, and 4 slots for infantry. So there's many different choices you can make here. Choose wisely, but for the start we're going to just start with the Marines because they can move fast both on ground, on the ocean, or I guess up a river, or even by air. So we'll go into that now. And of course, if you watch the previous What the Deck series on logistics and the Marines and the transports, you'll see exactly why. So let's get into it. So we want to make an infantry focused deck here, and you see we have our standard logistics. You can see here we've got many more, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, and then the last 2 slots that only cost 1 point for infantry. We have no real big restrictions to tank or support other than the fact that we are restricted to specific vehicles, not a loss in the slots we have. Recon, vehicles, you can see there's much less to call out than usual. However, it's much more experienced than usual as well. And of course for the Navy, you can also call out an elite Fremantle or an elite Lafayette, etc., etc. So we'll quick start a deck, and then we'll fight against the computers we had previously in our Making a Deck series, and we'll do the same here. I'm going to go ahead and start then, since we'll be mostly infantry. The greatest asset for infantry is the fact that you can have a lot of it and that it moves quickly. So what we do want to do is we will probably still bring some mortars and such, so let's throw a fob in our deck. We're also going to put in a, let's see, for this case, we're going to put in an LAV C2. No, let's put in a Humvee for speed and a TACCOM infantry for cover in buildings. As for support, we're going to bring out an M35 cargo, and that's it. That's all we'll need to support our infantry. We'll come back to infantry very last. In addition to supporting the infantry, we'll need Avengers to keep up with them in their fast transports. We'll want to bring up an LAV-M to give them a smoke cover and destroy light enemy vehicles that may be out of their range. And it wouldn't hurt to bring up a Chaparral as well. We'll call out a hardened one of those. As for the, actually, we'll bring up a hardened LAV too. I'm going to switch these two around real quick. The Avenger, I like to have more of them, so we'll get the trained. They're going to be much more inaccurate, but trust me, they'll be pretty much the only air cover you have other than the Chaparrals, which you can have 3 of. Let's call out 6 of those. All right, let's go ahead and move on to tanks then. We probably want nothing less than the Era and the Naval Abrams here. All right, only 2 of those. That'll be very good, though. We'll bring out the Cobra. This isn't a very effective weapon so far. And keep in mind, any of the stats you see here are subject to change. So again, check the deck before actually going with these choices. You never know what might change. You never know if one day the AH-1J Cobra could go from being good optics to excellent optics, and it might be exceptionally more important to bring out that unit, etc., etc. In addition, we'll call out the Navy SEALs, excellent fighters, and the more the merrier with them. We'll call out a group of Navy SEALs that both fly in the Humvee, or well, not literally fly in the Humvee, but they will be going fast, and we'll also call it the little frog here, or as we like to call it, the prog. So we'll go ahead and call out 4 more of those. Very good fighters against infantry and extremely capable recon. We don't want any of our infantry to get pummeled by close-range weapons, so we'll bring up a Humvee TOW, which can hold up to 8 TOW as well. So we'll go ahead and bring out one of those, and we'll also bring ourselves a LAV-25. We have plenty of points to spend, so that's when we'll come back and layer our deck with a few more things as well. At this point, I would say that the Super Cobra probably not needed, so we'll go with 7 of these Sea Cobras, just the standard Marine variant, by the way. For the air, this is going to be a long buy. It's going to take a little while here, so let's go through these. Skyhawks are extremely effective, both the standard version with the rockets and the standard version with the bombs. In fact, the rockets are really effective. And in fact, they're even more points. And they do actually have an ECM on them of 20, so 20% there. Good to bring out a Corsair. A lot of delaying and a lot of early elimination tactics. We're going to want a capable fighter here, so let's call out 2 elite Phantoms and some seed aircraft as well. Perhaps the 105-point EA-6B Prowler would be effective here. We also are going to want another standard fighter, which in this case is probably not going to be easy to find. Oh, you know what? We'll bring out an intruder as well. Another one. One more point for planes. I guess the best we're going to find is the 160-point FA-18C Hornet. So that's what we'll go with there. We'll come back and do Navy once we go back and spend some more points here. Navy's what we'll do last. Now, infantry, the reason why we're here. All right, so some extremely important units here for infantry is for defense, offense, flanking, going deep in behind enemy lines, sneaking around. Those are some of the things you're going to want. So by default, we're going to want the extremely effective Stinger C. And usually how I layer my infantry is I go with non-infantry fighting infantry first, for instance, the SMAW or the Stinger, and then I move on to the regular infantry. So 4 LAAD Stingers. Now, since they carry such limited ammo, you do want them to be more skilled, and since a lot of the times they'll be in the heart of fighting, it is harder to get supply to them, and it is harder to replace them. So the better you hide them and the more skilled they are, the more effective they will be. We'll call out some SMAW as well that can come out in a Humvee. We'll call out a group of hell, why not 9 veteran on that. They're going to be very effective against infantry and also standard tanks. Additionally, we will want some assault engineers that can only come in via helicopter. So we'll bring in 9 of those. And we will start then with basic infantry of Marines. Now, we do have access to the light riflemen here. Not really interested in bringing those out at the start. So what we'll do is we'll bring out the Marines in the, let's see, the Marines 90 in the Twin Huey. We'll call out, let's see, some veteran of these. 22 should do us good. And then the final 2 points we have we'll spend on trying to get behind enemy lines with the elite Delta Force. And we'll see what we can do with the light rifleman 90 with the further firing ATGM, sort of the M47 Super Dragon, which actually we can't call out in the Twin Huey because we've used all those, so we'll just have to call them out in the Humvee, which means they'll arrive to the party late. Now, when building this infantry deck here, you've got to think to yourself, infantry leads with speed. If they are late to the party, they're going to run into a wall of machine gun fire, tank rounds, death, destruction, fire. They need to arrive early, they need to hide, they need to be stealthy, because, well, infantry is soft and tanks are hard. Alright, so with those points spent, we'll try to see where we can fill in some gaps where we're lacking. We have 5 extra points to spend. Could be useful to buy perhaps the Seahawk if the enemy has some heavier tanks. Here, though, I'm thinking it would probably be best to buy a Zippo to make sure that we're the king of infantry, so that way we can push through if we need the extra help. We also could probably call out the 150 90mm, a very cheap and effective unit. Cheap's not necessarily bad in this game. And as you can see, we have 1 extra point to spend, but nowhere to spend it in the standard tab. So this is going to be one that we have 59 out of 60. And the good thing is after we play this deck a few times, we can go ahead and take out things we didn't necessarily like and replace it with things that we want to try in replace of that. And of course, with the updates always coming, that's going to be important too. Now, we're not going to cover very many naval units. In fact, I'm not going to even bring out any ships because that's something we're going to cover another time. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with infantry and see if we can also do main battle tanks. Just trying to deselect ships. I could have probably deselected the ships first, but that's okay. Alright, so we should have everything we needed selected. And keep in mind the naval tab, I didn't want to select those planes. Keep in mind that the extra artillery we can call in too from ships is extremely valuable. We may have not gotten the Paladin in on our standard Marine deck, but in the Navy tab we do have it, so it is something that we could use in addition to extra tanks, extra chaparrals, and even the Hawk Pip. So what we're going to really want here is we're going to want a Marine landing force. I'm going to put that in the list first, and I'm talking about armored to the teeth, baby. We're going to call out 14 of those bad boys with another 8 small with them. We're going to call out some LAV-25 scouts to clear the way. I also want a heavy AA battery. That'll do. We also will probably want to put some sort of supply in there for them because that battery will run out quickly. So I may have actually just deselected that, or we might not get that. Let me just look around a bit. Go back into our role. Supply, oh, not supply ships, supply vehicles. There we are. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and buy ourselves the supply vehicle we get is probably the M35, if that's on here somewhere. You know what? We'll buy the Hemet for it. So we'll call out the Hemet. We'll call out some M60A1 Era. And we'll also call out some Stinger Cs. That's going to be an amazing naval landing. Wow. If we get them in the flank, that's going to be extremely valuable. So there's our deck. We'll go ahead and, I guess, keep that the way it is. And we'll go ahead and save that. Going to then jump over back to solo. Launch ourselves a skirmish mission. And we'll call out, we'll do one where we can call out on the ocean. We'll do Wosan Harbor. We'll play that new deck we just built. What the deck? Infantry. And so you can see it's the Marines tab. USA. We're ready to go. We'll play for, yeah, who cares, 15 minutes since the video's been long enough. And we'll start with an extra 2,000 points. Alright, so it should be destruction, computer, I don't know, is it medium computer? That's just fine with me. So let's go ahead and go right into it then. Alright, so one of the key things that's always important to remember, which a lot of people may forget, is the placement of your convoys at the start. Now, this is one time where I can say COY does stand for convoy. What we will want to do right away is, if you look at the map, you notice there's a lot of open space, and then there's a lot of cover. This is going to be hell for tanks. If tanks were trying to move anywhere between these villages on these main roads where ATGMs are, it's going to be a nightmare. So infantry is going to be a little bit better here because it can arrive earlier, it can arrive faster, and it can arrive via the air as well, as where tanks, well, they just can't fly yet. So anyway, Let's go ahead and put down some of our units. We're going to put down a Humvee CP. We'll put that somewhere around here. Keep in mind, if you're the enemy, where you're going to fire your artillery, more than likely in a corner or a small spot. So it's traditionally fun to put it in the middle of a forest, or even with this new command infantry, you could put it in here. Either way is fine. Just keep it away from here. The enemy, if they were to capture Delta, could bring their infantry all the way across the mountains right into our CP. In fact, they could do that now. So it may be more wise to put it in the town. But if you're in doubt, just go ahead and put some assault engineers down to block them. But we'll skip that for now. Alright, so what we will do is we're going to look at the map here and think of where we need to go first with our infantry. Clearly, infantry is not going to be valuable anywhere where there's not cover, so the best spots are probably Echo, Charlie, and Delta, as well as the tip of Alpha here, where we can move through the entire harbor all the way along the flank of Echo and into Foxtrot even if we wanted. We also want to go for big points first, so Charlie would be very wise to capture, and we want some naval reinforcements, so Alpha would be very important for us to capture. Delta is going to be something that can open up a giant flank for us. As you can see, of the entirety of the map, the ocean and all of this mountain here are pretty much uncovered. In fact, in previous videos, you may have seen me bringing rocket jets over this direction to hit targets at Bravo. There may be AA here, but enemy aircraft and enemy troops can sneak back there with no problem. So let's get our stuff set up. We'll want to put our FOBs somewhere along a main road. Closer to the front is where I like to put it. You don't always need one, but for 75 points, sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. So in addition to that, we want to call out some early troops. We're going to want to call out our Marines. Now these are in the Twin Huey, which is faster. Keep in mind, and remember this, you want to put things in the front, not in the back. Why? Well, because obviously the shorter the distance, the better. And if you put them over the trees, they're already ready to move and can deploy over the trees rather than doing their takeoff animation, which adds time. Towards the front on top of the trees will be best. Now, Charlie has several key points we're going to want to take. Now, we're going to probably want 2 or 3 Marine groups ready to fight the enemy just at Charlie, as well as some Stinger missiles. If we put our Stinger missiles up towards the front, they're more likely to kill any enemy choppers that could try to come between Echo, Delta, and Charlie on the left side, and we could do the same on the right side. Both of those sides. I flipped those around, but you understand what I mean. You know, I was thinking of it from the enemy's approach, but let's go ahead and go with that plan then. We're going to want 2 groups of Marines. Now keep in mind, helicopter transports can only transport in groups of 2. 15 Marines per squad, so 15 times 2 is 30 per squad. That's 60 men ready to fight over Charlie. We're also going to need to capture Charlie, so we'll bring in some TACCOM Marines as well via Humvee. We may bring that in a little bit later, just after the Charlie's more secure, or we could just bring it in right from the start. Recommended location there, or somewhere over here. Recommended location, of course, if you have a vehicle there, but since we have our infantry, we may go over here. But keep it close to your main infantry, and keep in mind, once they spot it, here comes the artillery and napalm, so always keep your stuff hidden. Alright, so let's get our fighting forces ready, and we'll start with the battle. We're going to bring a couple groups of the Stinger there, and we'll have another group come from here on the left side of Charlie, possibly block there. This TACCOM will go to Alpha, so let's bring some support for that. We'll bring, we'll bring a couple of Marine groups there. We'll bring our Stingers to this side, and keep in mind, in my mind, I'm now separating these. These 2 are going together to the left side. This one's going kind of to the right, but he's going to have to take the left side, and everything here is going to the right, except it's going to different positions. Once you click and highlight everything and tell it to move fast, that's the perfect time to then start designating where it should go once it arrives. You'll see that in just a moment. So in addition to that, let's try to bring out, try to do a little sneaky snake right from the start. We'll call out some Delta force over this forest to try to go through the back. In fact, let's call out 2 groups of 2, and we'll try to call out another group to go to the left if we've got them. Unfortunately, these ones, well, actually, they can start over a building, so that's good. Perfect. All right, now, in addition to that, we're going to need to see where the enemy's coming from, so an early Cobra, and to see what they're packing would be good on both sides. And keep in mind, we still have our naval ships and our naval reinforcements that we could bring in to attack them all the way at their spawn. And keep in mind, that bastard's probably going to have some pretty good ships to fight us with. so we may not even want to bring out Naval at all. It's all about the speed is really what's important. Now, it's always good to keep a little bit of pointage back, and the reason that is probably keeping 300 or 200 for planes, or later, or mid-game, late start support. If you don't start with artillery but want it, don't call it out right away. You can call it out a little later. We're going to bring in the Avengers to defend that command more against helicopters, because what players will do, especially when you're fighting packed transports are packed to the gills with rockets, ATGMs, machine guns, so you definitely want to take them out of the sky. To prevent them from napalming us, we're going to call out 3 chaparrals to go into this city here, and we're also going to bring up some SMAs as well to stick with them, and the SMAs can move up a little bit later. It's to stop vehicles from rushing us later in the game. We'll also bring up some Humvee light riflemen 90 with them as well, just for extra security. So we should have Bravo secure when we launch. We have a command to leave behind. We have a command group of infantry ready to go to Charlie, a group to go to Alpha, and a group of helicopters to flank around, as well as here. Now we're going to keep 330 points. I'd like to spend more, but we'll go ahead and just leave it for the aircraft, which is another strong thing that the Marines get. It's not just the Marines on the ground, but also the aircraft in the air that's going to help us win here. So let's get it done. Here we go. Alright, now as you can see, I started one convoy, and I'm going to go ahead and start another, going to the same location. Now you can, as you remember, I wanted actually some of these vehicles to go to different places. Now as they're driving, I'm going to tell them to go to different places so that way they can provide sufficient coverage. They're all moving. Speed at the start is what you want, but now I'm giving them exact orders on what to do. You can see the twin Hueys are coming up with the Marines. We're going to want to it's probably best to land further in the back, but we're going to try to move up as quick as possible. Great thing about this early Cobra is with all of its rockets, it can also participate in destroying enemy transports right off the start. We're going to have our special forces then go over this direction, and we're going to have our other recon swing over to the left a little bit, and we'll bring our chaparrals up to more of a defensive position, and we do want to set up a roadblock somewhere around here. So I'm actually going to pull back just a little bit since they didn't bring helicopter or tanks or anything. Lad Stingers are getting ready to fire, and they already took out the enemy recon. MI2 here is going to get toasted by the 40mm frag that can engage that helicopter, so we'll see exactly what happens. Chaparrals are there for security against aircraft, and we do want to deploy our Marine TACCOM. There it goes. Alright, our other Marine TACCOM we're going to put somewhere over here, and the progs should have gone more right, but you know, again, we're fighting the computer, so I know I can jinx it just a little bit. Our Delta Force is heading over to Foxtrot. Hopefully we can delay some sort of command, and they're trying to look for the something like that. The loss is mine now. They've detected the frogs, which is bad because now they know that Delta Force or extra Marines are coming. We have forces waiting in the back. If they spotted these, they could be bombed, but they're also waiting to advance. And it looks like there's a lot of everything coming in now. It looks you see artillery coming. Good now to get these helicopters the hell out of here, and hopefully these Marines deploy. BMPs are now coming in. Pull those Avengers back. Get the Marines on the line. Get Humvees out of there. Don't give them free transport points. Strelaz are there. There they are. There's that early block. Some of the Delta Force will survive, but unfortunately it won't be all of them. Progs, however, are very capable of surviving, and now he's behind the building. So now that group of Delta Force will deploy, and there's the enemy command UAZ trying to sneak his way in there. We'll try to attack him. Meanwhile, we'll have our frogs come in on the side. I just call them the frogs. I know it's or the progs. Either way is fine. We do have kind of an undefended zone here. We have a vehicle coming in. Let's go ahead and rocket his ass. Grab the Skyhawk 2, PT-71. He's on the move, so we probably want more than one vehicle. And it looks like he has T-70 somethings or T-60 somethings. He's trying to, oh, he's moving his ass. Alright, well, I can't believe they didn't engage that unit. Avengers are in danger. And it looks like calling that out was really good. We do have chaparrals on standby just in case. We'll get our Alpha deployed. Now, keep in mind, I'm doing this a lot slower than you should be because, of course, I'm explaining things as I do them. But when you're playing, it should be immediate. That's the way it's got to go. Computer playing very dumb with the UAZ up front. You might see some newer players doing that, leading with the command rather than the offensive force. You got to send your offensive in first. We should have had our Marines up here too, and we can put more of these Marines into cover. Enemy's going to targeting the chaparrals now. That's a big pressure that it's going to put on its air force. and we can spread these units out a little bit later. Now again, I'm not playing perfectly because it's hard to really explain these things while playing at the same time, but just keep in mind, everything you see me do that looks good, it's only good when you're doing it 3 times faster than you should be. Alright, so we've got an Mi-24 that's engaging us. We'll lure him back. Looks like there's a lot of artillery, so now it's just kind of a good time to get our infantry units out and maybe move them up here, actually. Light riflemen can be on a defensive position. Stingers can move up too. Delta Force is moving into cover. Looks like there's some artillery in the back. We might be able to just shoot at that. Oh, T-64, screw that. We're definitely going to want to hide from those tanks. They're going to murder Delta Force. Though Delta Force is great, we can call out one of these. We now spotted the UAZ with the Delta Force's amazing vision range. And we've denied them from capturing Foxtrot. They've had to move their command around a few times. We're going to go for that UAZ now, and unfortunately in this mode I can't put a marker down, but always put a marker down. You can always force fire on that position. Noticing here it's just right at this building, right at these 2 trees in the second field. So we're going to go ahead and call out those Skyhawks to come in. They're almost in position. Now, in the standard battles, you would have giant. Yeah, they're still trying to go for our Chaparrals and Avengers. So keep support vehicles on the move, and we're always in cover. All right, we're going to go ahead and back up with that recon as well. Skyhawks are ready to roll. We'll go ahead and hit the UAZ. They're going to lose their air reinforcements and land. Additionally, we could have captured Delta and pushed up infantry through here. There's actually a way to go through the woods, but no need to do that with us cutting off their command. Now the Estrella will probably get a couple good hits, and we may lose one of our jets there. Looks like we lost one, but that was damn well worth it because we've cut off their aircraft reinforcements. Delta Force now can move around and try to find that other UAZ, and we do have Alpha, so why not pour on the pain now? We're going to bring up our era and make the enemy know that they've committed an era. And we're going to have to go all the way up here, so we're going to try to come up behind them with those. We're going to try to bring in everything we got. It's going to be D-Day. One more on the 45. Okay, there we go. Delta Force have found infantry. Looks like they found a motor Streliki squad. BMPs are coming up nicely. At this point, we could call out some of that artillery. The mortars we purchased to try to delay those, but you can see we're limited points, and this final push is exactly what we need. Now the enemy will call back some units to try to go to Gulf, and we're going to try to get this Strela before he escapes. Keep in mind these progs are very expensive too, 20 points each. If we lost all that, that would not be good. That could give the enemy a very good advantage. You see enemy artillery coming in. Didn't want to get out of that building. I actually wanted to kill that helicopter. We were actually able to disable it somewhat and kill off that motor Streliki. Alright, so it looks like they've got an Mi-2 that's kind of watching the area for flanking. We're going to bring up our Stingers and try to pop that. Recon's always very important to get. The enemy's vision is sometimes more detrimental to your forces than a heavily armed tank could be. As you can see, their aircraft has engaged its cloaking device. Oh man, it seems like whenever you go to move for units, that's when they start to move. I don't know what the hell we just blew up there, but it was big. I'm going to try to find this command again with this Delta Force. Our LCMs are hauling ass over to here too. They're defenseless against aircraft, but luckily nothing at Gulf. They could still get hit by helicopters, which they will, and we may take some losses here. But if we can get them deployed ASAP, we can actually put up a nice fight against them. Meanwhile, the enemy forces are all bringing in some forces to try to stop us at Foxtrot. We're going to try to get these tanks unloaded, losing one there in the process. Era's been stunned. We'll try to shoot the Buck and bring in some reinforcements. Alright, we got Skyhawks with bombs ready to go, and we've got the Skyhawk 2 there ready to go. Looks like we may have lost both of those. Stingers are ready, and there they go. They're going to start firing at those helicopters right away. Goodbye, baby. That's the end of that. Looks like we unloaded our Marines a little too early. I wanted them to pull up and then unload. However, when they're unloaded like this, I hit the unload button, forgetting that some of them don't drive to the nearest location. But anyway, those are armed with grenade launchers, so they can cause some trouble against the enemy. We're going to go ahead and go for the UAZ there. And we're going to try to hit... Did we lose our tanks? We did not. We're going to try to hit that buck. And we're going to try to hit everything that's here, including that UAZ. And you can see we beat them with speed, not with technology or anything. That cut off their second command, so reinforcements are not going to be coming in from the enemy. The Skyhawk 2 then will bring in some bombs. He's Winchester, means he dropped his payload. T-80Bs are coming in now. Now we need some real big nutcrackers here. We've got the Hornet now. T-80Bs are going to give us an immense amount of points, and this area is pretty much clear, so we're good to go. Unfortunately, losing a lot of Marines to ATGM fire and such like that, but the enemy's getting hit so hard in the ass they don't really have much they can do. We're going to unload these Marines as fast as we can. Bring up our tanks to keep them still. Hornet coming in, baby, 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 baby. Look at that. That was amazing. 200 points there just from a Hornet. That's awesome. All right, we can also finish off enemy infantry and enemy lighter units with intruders. T-64s there were going to murder our arrows. So as you can see, the naval landing was half successful. We unfortunately lost all of our stingers, but that's kind of just to show off what you can do there. Looks like the enemy magically somehow got a UAZ fully operational again. So we'll call off our intruder, and we'll try to kill some of that. See if we can unload these as fast as possible and get Marines in from the side. Not a good... oh, they shouldn't have been able to hit me from there. So as you can see, it's not so easy to do the naval landings like that. But we do have units that we're ambushing on the way. Great to put Delta Force on the flanks and make the enemy think twice before it spreads out its tentacles again. We will call out a Prowler now to see if we can find any more air... any anti-air weapons, especially around their command, and we'll cut that command off. Obviously there's a Strela over there, but I'm more concerned about the Bucks, and we're going to call out these Skyhawks to be over there as well. A5's coming in, looks like it evac'd itself. He may have actually seen our infantry there, and unfortunately our infantry is not in cover, so always make sure that things are in cover, as I failed to do there. Alright, we do have a UAZ there. We call out our heavier mortars, or they're not in that tab, I keep forgetting, but oh, there's the Buck. Goodbye to the Buck. Another anti-radar missiles ready. MiG-25's coming out, so he can screw off, because I'm about to get his ass. He's 100 points. He's not going to do much against that Prowler. He's going to get out of there with his ECM. But I do want to go for the UAZ before it engages its Romulan cloak. Hornet won't get there in time. Strelas are getting ready to fire probably at the Cobras. Oh, which are firing back. Oh, damn, I thought there would be some nice victory on there. Nope. Guess not. Alright, here comes the bombs, and there goes another crazy-ass, Where are the bombs here? Come on. Today, please. Crazy amount of AA back there, so we're going to go ahead and keep pounding that. In the meantime, let's try to hit one of these Strelas with our Hornet. Strela's pretty, the Hornet's pretty damn fast, pretty damn agile, so it's not going to really cause too much trouble against the Hornet, as predicted. And the other BMP finished off with the infantry. Amazing unit, those multi-roll. If they're alone and there's nothing to stop them, they are the kings of the sky. Another enemy UAZ is materialized. We do have that Buck there, so we can't hit them anymore with hard air. We will win in about 2 minutes via points. We've kind of eliminated the enemy in their weaknesses, and we lost to our own weaknesses as well. Of course, tanks not so good against T-64s. We gave it a good try, and unfortunately, they had some pretty damn good tanks there. But we're the kings of the sky, and we've owned towns, and we've really put some pressure on them, and they've got a lot of points to make up. A ton of points to make up, actually. Oh, almost 900. Now, of course, I made some mistakes and stuff, and I'm just kind of trying to show off what you can do. I wouldn't have necessarily done the naval thing on my own, and I probably, would have paid more attention to my Delta Force, realizing that that's 1,000 times more feasible and it's more profitable to do it that way. But now we can just move into... And by the way, there's going to be an enemy command coming to Gulf in a second. That one driving back. So let's run across the road here with our Delta Force and see if we can find out where he's coming from. Is that him parking there? Nope. You can see enemy units moving in and around the area here. BMP-1s are everywhere with enemy infantry. BMP-1s are a nightmare for infantry out in the open. So always, if you see BMPs around, move from cover to cover. Don't just move from here to there, for instance. Move from cover to cover. BMP is down. That's awesome. Good find. Of course, don't expect to see that in the standard game. Players won't do that. They're faster and smarter than that. And we'll try to find the enemy. Oh, T-80B. Good, let's kill that. This thing needs to die. Now, it will take those Marines quite a while to get through the T-80B's defenses. But in the meantime, we can take out that T-64 group there. And I think that's an enemy command moving around. I keep getting excited. Anyway, we were able to kill that one tank, so now it's time for us to pull out. And the enemy did engage its damn cloaking device. Oop, okay, and they're straight left, so GTFO. They're still pouring it on here. We got artillery incoming. Looks like it's smoke. They're trying to rocket us to death, and that's going to be the end of the Marines. But they made up for a crazy amount of points, pushing us up to 2270 rather than just staying in the back. So a major victory for us, and a big victory for us all, because really this game is fantastic. So you can see the Marines on the ground did a lot for stopping convoys. Look at all those motor Strelakis and BMPs that they destroyed. And our Skyhawks did a good job of cutting off light enemy forces. And it's almost like instant rocket artillery that's concentrated into a small blast. And destroying recon is something you definitely want to do. And, you know, what you don't want to do is probably what I did with that naval landing. But if you have the support of an ally who's competent, who can defend you while you're making a naval landing, getting behind the enemy is just, it almost is a weapon in itself. So anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching What the Deck. We'll continue on with making some more decks in the future. We'll do some armored decks, and we'll do some more airborne or helicopter-focused decks and aircraft-focused. So, but that's not everything. So anyway, until next time, this is Raptor reminding you to keep the password and pin pan strong. We'll see ya. Bye.